if you can share more about, what challenges you faced as you've started taking ownership of the leadership role, and maybe how you changed or how you changed your habits to address those challenges.
Yes. So when I took on the leadership role initially, not even as CTO, but just into like my first foray into management, even, um, I was definitely spreading myself quite thin because like I would be doing, a lot of the project planning, product planning, um, mentoring, coaching, like all that stuff. But I'd also be doing work too, and then still keeping up my other habits of sticking myself up, sticking my nose in every other part of the business I could, right? So with this new set of responsibilities, and you're already running at a million miles an hour beforehand, the burnout was like impending if I didn't do something. So one of the things that, so a couple things I changed, right? One is um, when you're an IC, your day can be a little bit more unstructured, right? Um, and that's fine. But like when you start to have a lot of stuff on your plate, you don't necessarily want to like structure your day. Like at least for me, I didn't want to structure my day in terms of meetings and stuff like that, right? But I did want to start structuring like, how am I gonna get this information going forward, right? How am I gonna keep up to date on these projects going forward? How am I going to get customer facing feedback on a regular basis, right? And so that's when like you start to I start to kind of look in my head and go like, okay, well, who in my org can I rely on? Who in other orgs can I rely on, right? Rather than talking to like everybody and anybody, right? Like try and go through certain vehicles of communication so you don't like just bombard yourself with a million messages at once, right? So you start to kind of structure the way you interact with people and interact with the organization a little bit better to kind of get more efficiency out of that. You know, to think you're going to structure your day, that's just a wish. That's just a dream, right? Like I have a calendar, but by the time Monday at 9 a.m. rolls around, that calendar is very different than it is right now. So I have like developed patterns like that. Um, I think the other thing for me is as you also start to structure your communication a little bit, you also kind of start to just go looking around the organization, and you basically go like, okay, who can I ask for help with stuff, right? But like also, who would I trust relying, right? And as an IC, trust is very interesting because like you could trust the opinions of other people, but like a lot of times, like especially if you're a software engineer, you might just go read the code of someone else's stuff, or you'll just go write the software yourself or whatever, right? But when you step into leadership, you have to get used to the idea of like being able to hand off a task and then just expect it to get done and not necessarily have to micromanage it or follow up on that, right? So you start to look at like, who did I deem reliable in the organization when I was an IC, and let's see if I could lean on them as a leader, right? So that was just like one of my theories that I tested out, and it turned out to be wildly successful for me. Like again, I said earlier, I have a great staff, so some of the guys I that were really good ICs alongside me, when I started leaning on them, they stepped up. And, so consequently, as I rose through the organization, I was able to structure it so that, they would be able to also exhibit some level of influence to try and usher more of that behavior across the rest of the staff. Right. And, eventually my life became easier because like now I just have like, a large, like a decent sized staff, but like I feel like there's just everybody in my organization I can rely on pretty concretely, to the point that like if I need to just get a bit of information, or I need someone to hunt down something or just solve a problem for me, like I don't have to like only rely on 5 people now. I can rely on 20.
If you've enjoyed this content, please subscribe. Your support helps ensure that we can bring you additional great technology professionals who are passionate about helping you become a great tech pro who's in high demand.